Oh, we're alive. Jericho confirms possible signing to the WWE. Triple H announces his retirement, and Lashley coming back to Raw and may have a WrestleMania opponent. That and the 25th anniversary of one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. This is Just Another effing Podcast, Season 2, Episode 13. Yep, let's get started.
Hit the music. Coming to you live from the effing Worldwide Media Studios, located in parts unknown. It's just another effing podcast.
Holy guacamole, welcome to another episode of Just Another effing Podcast. I am your host. I'm the Mac Daddy of the Shiznit. I'm the JFB, James from Boston.
And I am the patron saint of professional wrestling. I'm that gingered, bubbly, thrilling son of a bitch. I'm Canada Dry, damn it.
Holy cow. Drink it up. Oh, God, just rolls off the tongue. We should open up our own. Hey, what's up, George? We should probably open up our own beverage company and make a Boston root beer and a Canada Dry ginger ale.
Maybe we could call it Canadian Dry so we could,
Yeah, we could call it Canadian Dry. What are they going to do? They're going to sue us? We're only going to be in two locations, Vancouver and Boston.
Yeah.
We're not going to make any money. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you listen to us. This is Just Another different podcast. Today we are going to do we're gonna do a new type of we normally do a lot of top 10 lists. We get guests on the show as well, but we wanted to break down a match, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to break down what possibly could be one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. It certainly is in my top 5. It actually is my number 1 match of all time. But we'll get to that in a second. You got to go with the dark matches first. And, of course, for us, the first dark match is always the news. All right, the news. First up.
We have a lot of fun with that graphic on Wrestling with the Paranormal. We make a news story out of nothing. Oh, we have breaking news, and we play that. It's great. I love that.
Breaking news coming out of Worldwide Media Studios.
Oh, yeah, we play Walter Cronkite. It's great.
By the way, congratulations. Happy birthday. 1 year anniversary for Wrestling with the Paranormal. It is... it's good when you can get that kind of momentum and you can get a good year's worth of traction on a podcast.
We had cake last night. We had a present. We had
candles. It was awesome.
We sang happy birthday. It was a fun show.
It was awesome. So the first up is Jericho basically confirming that Cody is going to the WWE during an episode of Talk as Jericho. If you don't listen to the podcast, he had a patent lawyer on who was talking about trademarks and copyrights and registered trademarks. And he basically was talking about, hey, this is why I get to keep the name Chris Jericho. And this is the reason why Cody Rhodes got Rhodes back, and now he signed with WWE. So he practically confirms that Cody Rhodes is going to WWE.
Well, what Jericho did there was something that you don't do in the business.
Yeah. inside baseball.
You protect the boys. You don't give away stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was almost like a shot.
Yeah.
At Cody for doing that.
Yeah.
And even Omega, you see him liking some anti-Cody posts.
Yeah.
Online. So it's like there had to be something going on backstage with Cody in AEW.
Yeah, I have a feeling we'll get some of the story at some point. Magic of Wrestling says that you're tired of hearing about Cody. Yeah, we are too. We just want him to show up and wrestle at this point. I mean, with all the speculation, we know pretty much he's going to be in WWE. We know he's probably going to debut at WrestleMania. Let's just get it done and over with. Let's get it done, and just so we can just get on with our lives.
So the dirt sheets are also saying that they want him presented exactly how he was in AEW.
Yeah.
To give that feel, the same sort of feel as he had in AEW.
Yeah. It's an easier transition for him at that point. Triple H confirms on ESPN that he is officially retiring from in-ring competition because of his heart. He does have a defibrillator in his heart, in his chest. It's sad. It really is sad to see a competitor, whether you love Triple H or you hate him, you don't want to see somebody's career have to end. I mean, obviously, family, his wife, his daughters, they come first before, going in the ring and possibly killing himself. So on a darker note, Ryback tweeted what a disappointment Triple H was compared to how he looked at him as a child. And now Ryback is getting heat on Twitter.
This is the thing. You can't really speak your mind on social media. Like, I understand where Ryback is coming from.
Yeah.
But the timing of it is really bad. It's just the timing. And I understand, like, he probably got mistreated a bit by Triple H, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But Ryback is just says stuff.
Yeah. It comes down to this. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Yeah, exactly. With Triple H, though, I think, like, this comes at a good time for his career. He's pretty much at the end anyways.
Yeah.
He had a great career, and like, anything now is where you get those really bad bumps when you're old, right? You're just walking over like Stu, like.
Yeah, you don't want to go out. You don't want to go out bad. You want to go out people remembering the best of you. So, AEW has two possible new signees. One of them is a former Ring of Honor champion. That's Jonathan Gresham, and a former Ring of Honor champion. She is the AAA ladies champion. Deonna Purrazzo appeared to have been signed and are ready to debut not so far away with AEW. I love Jonathan Gresham. I love Deonna Purrazzo. There's no denying.
Is this the Owen Hart secret for the Owen Hart tournament?
I think Deonna Purrazzo is the secret. I think she's the one who comes in and is the mystery signee for the qualifier.
But wouldn't it be better to just have her there for the super card and not expose her to AEW yet? I'm mixed with this because she is the Ring of Honor champion, women's champion. I would love to see her at Supercard, and there's a good chance she's going to be at Supercard regardless. So, maybe she drops the belt at Supercard and then goes ahead and jumps over to AEW. I mean, with the companies being owned by the same guy, transitioning wise, I don't think that's going to be an issue. Jumping from one to another. Joseph Brand brings up a good point. Bandito is incredible, and those two guys, when they go to war, they go to war. There is no denying it. Shad Gaspard. Sorry, let's read this from George. Let's see if we can answer this.
Are each new signing, are they signed to both companies or just AEW but under Ring of Honor? I don't know. A lot. I mean, that's legalese with contracts, which I don't know. I would imagine they're probably going to sign a general contract with the company that owns AEW, which
we'll call Tony Khan Inc. at this point, and kind of will go in an umbrella at that point.
Because we could easily see AEW go down to Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
And back and forth, right? So
here's how I think it's going to work. I think Dark and Dark Elevation are going to be kind of pushed to the wayside. I think Ring of Honor is going to exist as a facility or a mechanism for young talent to come in, get their bearings straight, learn the AEW way of wrestling, and then eventually transition. And you'll have top stars that will kind of go back and forth,
It will be like AEW's NXT, pretty much.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, it'll be it's going to be a territory for them, essentially. You'll tour with Ring of Honor, you'll have Ring of Honor pay-per-views, which kind of fills out the calendar year for AEW, because AEW doesn't do a pay-per-view a month. They do it every 3 months.
Yeah, so. And if they can do it in between the other ones instead of around the same time, where we're busting our hump spending all that money. The other thing is AEW, there's talk of that potential HBO Max deal where we see maybe a streaming service where they could air the ROH on there. Would be amazing.
Oh yeah, they have the Ring of Honor library. I mean, you're 3 years into AEW, so you have a decent size amount of pay-per-views for people to go back and rewatch. But Ring of Honor is 20 plus years old. They're 20 years old this year, and you're talking about a tape library that is second only to WWE. And I would love to see HBO Max have a little section that says AEW / Ring of Honor, and you can go there and watch Punk in his younger years when he was just phenomenal. Bryan Danielson, Jay Lethal and Adam Cole going at it tooth and nail. So, and nowadays in this day and age, you have to have a streaming deal. You have to be able to appease to the people who are cutting the cable cord and are not necessarily doing conventional cable anymore. You're doing Ring of Honor, you're doing, you're buying per pay-per-view, or you're subscribing to, Ring of Honor's streaming service at that time, which I can't remember what it was called. So, but yeah, I mean, I think the HBO Max is coming soon, and they just signed, they just absorbed Discovery Channel into their system. So I think it's going to be another few months before we see AEW officially saying, hey, we're streaming on HBO Max now as part of Time Warner Media. So Shad Gaspard is going to be the Warrior recipient this year. For those who don't remember, he died while saving his son. He drowned and passed away. I would imagine his Crime Time partner, his tag team partner, will probably be the one who inducts him. I would imagine we'll probably see his son and his wife there as well. I'm really happy for this. I mean, the Warrior recipient has been really good. I don't think there's anybody who's gone it that didn't deserve it, for what they've contributed to society as a whole. So,
well, hell, it should be the Shad Gaspar Award.
Anything. I mean,
the guy's a legit.
Yeah, I mean, he dove in.
He died saving his son. Like, wow, like you can't write this stuff.
No, that's Hollywood right there. That's Hollywood script right there.
JTG is in a tag team with what's his name? Fandango. Ironically, Fandango, the same day as Triple H, he posted a tweet saying, I'm quitting wrestling. Goodbye forever. And then he deletes his Twitter.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I've read that, and I'm really hoping that everything is okay with him mentally. When you see something like that posted, you start worrying about, of course, his mental health well-being at that point. MJF on a podcast, not ours, but one day he'll be on our podcast. Yes. But right now he wasn't. This is on a different podcast. Actually complimented Roman Reigns and the WWE, and he says he likes what they are doing, which, in all honesty, MJF stays in character, and the likelihood is because of the rumors that they want MJF, and WWE is really high on him right now. I have a feeling he said this to kind of fan the flames and fuel the fire of him going to WWE. I seriously doubt. I mean, I may be wrong. I mean,
you know what I think it is? I think it's complete heel work. What better thing to say about WWE is that you love what they're doing? I was like, what? You love what?
Yeah, I was shocked. I had to reread it, and then I listened to the podcast while I was walking my dog, and I'm like, this is a work. This is an absolute work. It has to be because, you know.
But it's the perfect thing for him to do because it's building up his dollar amount that he gets. It's a great business move.
He's a great shit heel. I mean, that's all it comes down to it. He's a great freaking heel. Yeah. Eddie Kingston on a podcast actually opened up about his mental health struggles and not falling into old habits. As someone who deals with mental health, and I'm a mental health advocate as well, you know, it's good that he's open and honest about it. He talks about it. He doesn't disparage it or look down on it like a lot of people do. So I listened to the podcast. It was a really good podcast, and he's brutally honest. I mean, he does not hold any punches back. So, Gable Stevens, the two-time now NCAA heavyweight national champion for Minnesota, says he'll be joining WWE by mid-April. And in his final match, which was the championship match for the NCAA, took off his shoes and left them on the mat, which, of course, we know is a sign that you are, of course, transitioning or you're leaving the sport. Obviously, he's not. He's going to WWE. But, yeah, I'm excited to see Gable Stevenson. I watched him in the Olympics. I caught a couple of matches on ESPN of his wrestling. He's pretty impressive. I'd like to see how they transition him.
They're going to push him through the roof, and they're going to try to give him that Brock Lesnar sort of treatment.
Yeah. And Brock Lesnar was a big reason why he went to Minnesota. Brock Lesnar wrestled for Minnesota in the NCAAs.
Related to Brock Lesnar, nice transition here.
Yeah.
Wardlow says he'd like Brock Lesnar to face him in AEW. Of course, that's not going to happen. The money's like, but
that and Wardlow's not even part of AEW. He's actually owned by MJF. So
yes, that's right. He's off right now. Wardlow is off the AEW roster.
He's not in. He's not on the website on their roster of wrestlers. So brilliant move by Tony Khan to play this up. Hulk Hogan news. Hogan actually came out and said that he believes Jinder Mahal could have been the next Hulk Hogan had he had the right push.
What are you thinking, Hulk Hogan? Like, maybe in India he could have been Hulk Hogan to India, but like the rest of the world is not getting in to Jinder Mania, brother.
Yeah. Jinder Mania. That is hilarious. Jinder Mania, brother. Oh, yeah.
All my Jinder Maniacs out there, brother.
I don't know exactly what kind of devil's cabbage Hulk Hogan is partaking in at his beachfront restaurant and bar. I would like to have a part of that for sure. So obviously this week is WrestleMania week. It's one of the biggest weeks in wrestling. It's huge. It's ginormous because not only do you have WWE, but you got everybody else planning big shows. You in Dallas-Fort Worth area. So if you're there for WrestleMania weekend, go see as much wrestling as you possibly can.
Yeah, it's crazy this week.
Here's the schedule. Monday is going to be WrestleMania Raw. Tuesday is NXT 2.0. Wednesday is going to be Dynamite, AEW Dynamite. Thursday, obviously, Impact, NXT UK. Friday becomes very I saw that. That was funny. Friday becomes a little hectic. You have WrestleMania SmackDown that evening. You have the Hall of Fame. You have AEW Rampage, of course. You have NXT's Level Up. I'm not sure what is that. I'm not sure what that is. I may have been drinking when they advertised that. Impact has a show called the Multiverse of Matches, which will be interesting because you have former Ring of Honor that are wrestling as if they are Ring of Honor invading Impact. Then you have Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor. Saturday, you have NXT Stand and Deliver. That's their big show. You have night 1 of WrestleMania. Sunday, you have night 2 of WrestleMania. And then, of course, the Monday after WrestleMania, the Raw, Monday Raw. I've been to one WrestleMania. I went to the one in Atlanta. It was the most unique sporting event I think I've ever been to in my entire life. I was there Friday for SmackDown. This is before NXT. So, Saturday was the Hall of Fame. Saturday was the meet and greets. Sunday was WrestleMania. I was there for Raw on Monday, and then I came home Tuesday. The Raw after WrestleMania, you have so many people that have been drinking and partying all weekend.
I don't think it'll feel the same as it used to, though.
It doesn't. You're right. It doesn't. But
like instead of like someone debuting, it's like, yes, we all still have our jobs.
Yes, exactly. And it's really funny because the crowd, it's one thing to watch on TV and be like, wow, that crowd is insane. It's another thing to be in the middle of that crowd as this is going, because they start chanting, they start singing, they're rowdy. They are a bigger crowd for Raw after WrestleMania than any other Raw you will ever attend. So if you get a chance in your lifetime, go to a WrestleMania, but don't do just WrestleMania. That's lame. Do the weekend, because you really get to meet a lot of people. I met a lot of people from different countries. The people we were surrounded around, where we were sitting in our section, we were on soft side. We weren't on the hard camera. We were on soft camera. We met people from Ireland. We met people from Scotland. We met people from Australia. I got a whole bunch of stuff signed. It was an absolute blast. And Atlanta did it in style. So one other news to go with, and that is this. For those who don't know, and we had Adrian Adonis's daughter as a guest on our show. We talked about her father's legacy and his career. We decided to help the family by opening up a pro wrestling tee store with Adrian Adonis. Alec Haney came up with the design, and a couple of days ago, Pro Wrestling Tees tweeted out about the new color that we had, the Golden Boy in black, and tweeted it out, and it was absolutely awesome. So not only do we have a Pro Wrestling Tee store, ProWrestlingTees.com/Wrestling, we also have ProWrestlingTees.com/Adrian Adonis. So if you're a big fan of old school wrestling, and especially what Adrian did, because he's more than just the flower shop character that he portrayed later in his career. And he was an amazing talent and probably one of the most underrated wrestlers in the 80s and in the 80s, 70s, and the 80s.
So we run his Twitter account, Keith Franks, and it is growing like crazy. It's almost up to 1,000 followers.
Yeah.
We just follow back everyone because we wanted to, feel like a interactive sort of thing. So we just follow everyone who follows Adrian. So
yeah, and we do it for the family. It's our way of paying homage to one of our favorite wrestlers. So if you want an Adrian Adonis shirt, you know where to go. ProWrestlingTees.com/Adrian Adonis. So now our next dark match is a new one. We didn't do one last week because the JFB was too busy and didn't get a chance to get to it. But we always have a joke of the week, and this week it is. Well, you know what? It's the joke of the week. Oh man, that's $1 million right there.
Is that me pulling down that string? Is that a cartoon of me? That looks like me.
I can neither confirm nor deny at all.
You put a Canada Dry shirt on.
I was thinking about it. I got that close, and I'm like, oh man, that's gonna be a pain to free-hand it. So our joke of the week comes from a very good friend of ours. He's on Twitter. He's Ted the Hillbilly Heel. The guy is freaking hilarious. Go to Twitter, follow him. He's got a podcast as well. His podcast is amazing. He listens to us. He doesn't join us live. He does listen to us. So Ted the Hillbilly Heel.
He retweets us a lot.
Yeah, he retweets us a lot. Thank you so much for being a friend, for being a fan, and for giving us the joke of the week.
This is Ted the Hillbilly Heel, at Hillbilly Heel, host of the Heel Truth Wrestling Podcast. This is for JFB and Canada Dry. So how do you know that professional wrestling is a tougher sport than professional bull riding? Because in bull riding, when you're the champion, they just give you a buckle. But in professional wrestling, you get the entire belt.
You know what I love about that? Is that little smile afterwards. It's like, I just got you all.
You get the whole damn belt. That is awesome. Ted, you rock, man. Anytime you want to come on the show, contribute in any way, shape, or form, dude, come on down. We would love to have you on here. Yeah. That was a great joke. You cracked us up. So,
but as always, send the jokes to me or JFB if you want your joke on the show. We got a bunch, but we need more.
Yeah, send us on Twitter, send us on Facebook, wherever you want to. You can't do it by snail mail, only because I don't give out my address to people. So it'll just loop constantly in the U.S. Postal Service. So, all right. So we got through our dark matches. Dun 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 dun. Now we are going to the main event.
Gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
We here at Just Another Effing Podcast, we love anniversaries. We love them. They're absolutely fantastic. This year happens to be the 25th year anniversary of WrestleMania 13. How fitting that on episode 13, we're going to talk about WrestleMania 13. Not only WrestleMania 13, but we're also going to talk about the greatest match to ever exist in WrestleMania history. And that is what we're going to do. We are talking about the anatomy of a match. That's our new little program that we're going to do. WrestleMania 13, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret the Hitman Hart. So we're going to give a little backstory before we get into it. We want to make sure that we give you an idea about what led up to this. It really kind of started after King of the Ring 96. Austin, who cut, of course, one of the greatest promos of all time. For those who don't know, you can watch our show, Top 10 Promos of All Time. It was our number one, was it not?
It was up there.
Yeah, it was up there. Immediately, Austin the next night set his sights on Bret Hart, and who was inactive at the time. He was nursing injuries and taking some much needed time off, and Austin just kept going after Bret. They eventually met at Survivor Series in '96. Hart actually beat Austin. They were the final two at the Royal Rumble in '97. This is getting ready to set it all up. Hart eliminated Austin, but officials never saw it. This eventually led to Austin eliminating Hart. And because of it, they went ahead and said, you know what? We're going to take the final four from Royal Rumble, and we're going to put them in a match in your house. And it's going to be in your house, the final four, which they can't use anymore because that's the NCAA's copyright. Bret won the vacant championship at the In Your House Final Four. He then lost it the next day.
There was a big whine job. Where's my time? And Bret's whining. You screwed me and all this stuff. And
Yep.
Set it up really good.
Yeah, they set it up absolutely perfectly. He lost it the next day on Raw when Austin interfered in the match. And that eventually leads up to WrestleMania 13. Now, both me and Canada Dry rewatched this. The promo, the intro video to this, is amazing. A lot of Bret complaining about Austin is the bad guy, yet he's getting cheered. Where's my time? I was the champion. He's kind of laying down that foundation. Even before this match, he's laying down that foundation, that excitement, number one, that you're going to get watching this match. But number two, he's really setting up for what eventually would be the big reveal at the end. What you saw the intro package, what did you think?
I thought that was so beautiful. Like you get Bret, the really whiny Bret, and having the fans are already kind of turning on him, so they're just kind of going with the flow. They're like, okay, we're gonna lean into this, and we're gonna make Bret a little whiny. And they had him pushing Vince McMahon down, and Vince McMahon calling him a son of a bitch, and all that stuff.
Yeah,
and it was a perfect build up to that double turn.
Yeah,
between Bret and Austin.
Yeah, and at least to me, when I was watching the video package, the intro, it was good to see a Bret Hart who was aggravated. I don't think he was so much heel as he was just aggravated. Like, you get aggravated when something isn't going your way constantly. You start getting agitated. You start getting irritated. You start getting aggravated.
Yeah, it was the slow build that was so beautiful about it. It's like, and then people are just like, I'm sick of this whiny Bret. It's played out.
And people started booing him. I mean, which is a first in his career. People actually started, even before WrestleMania, started to boo Bret Hart, and especially more towards the American fans. Obviously, he's over in Canada. There's no doubt about it at all. Ken Shamrock is the guest referee. Let's talk about Shamrock. He was newly acquired. He newly signed with WWE at this time. Obviously, they're trying to get as many guys in WrestleMania for the WrestleMania payoff. Fitting that he would be the guest ref at a submission match.
That was the only thing that kind of felt out of place. It didn't really need to have Ken Shamrock in it.
Yeah.
The end was nice where Ken Shamrock gave the suplex to Bret.
And what was really fitting too was obviously, he's newly signed with WWE. He's fresh meat. You want to get
he's already good friends with Bret, so it's a good working relationship.
Yeah, and I mean, he's the world's most dangerous man. ABC News, weeks after he debuted at WWE, when ABC News was doing a report about human cockfighting, which was UFC at that time. It was just a cage with two guys beating the ever-living shit out of each other. They called him the world's most dangerous man, and so it was a good way to get UFC fans into WWE and vice versa as well. So
it was still a good idea, I guess. But looking back, it doesn't make sense. But at the time, it does.
So let's get to the match. It is actually not the main event. The main event is Undertaker versus Psycho Sid. It's not the match before Undertaker versus Psycho Sid. It's actually the match. It's fifth in the rotation. There were only 7 matches for this WrestleMania. It was in Chicago. Yeah, it's very when you compare it now when it's 2 nights and usually 14, 15 matches, but it was fifth coming in, which you had a kind of a weaker match ahead of it, so people were ready for something big. And Austin comes in first. Of course, he comes through the shattered glass. The glass shatters and falls. He comes strutting out. Which I thought was really good. I thought it was
the first time the glass shatters for Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I believe it is. Yeah, I believe it is. I believe it's the first time.
So they're really putting him over.
Yeah, the glass shatters. He steps through that glass shattering. He struts. He's determined. I mean, the way he marches. He doesn't walk to the ring. He marches with that swagger and his head wagging and his vest. And he gets in the ring, and the first thing he does is he jaw jacks to Ken Shamrock, almost to tell him, "You don't belong here, dude. This is my match." Then, of course, Bret comes in, who has to step over the glass. But there's something about him and the way he comes in.
Look at him. He looks like the freaking Terminator in this picture.
Yeah. I mean, like the glasses, the jacket, that scowl on his face. He looks like he's ready for business. I mean, he looks like, but he takes his time. His walk-in is very methodical. As soon as they get in the ring, Austin takes off his jacket, or Hart takes off his jacket, and then they immediately go after each other. They take the action. Now, we're going to break this down kind of like the way we do a movie. A movie is in 3 acts. And this is Act 1. Austin goes right after Hart. He takes the action outside the ring. They exchange punches. Austin makes this a physical brawl, which, doesn't really make a lot of sense, in a submission match that you're beating the head of Bret Hart, But, they take this outside of the ring. They take it outside the ring, and he makes it a brawl, which is what Austin's forte is.
But, the beauty of this is right from the get-go, you're getting pure hate. Pure hate from Bret, pure hate from Stone Cold. You're like, they're both like, I've had enough of you. It's just this. Before this, Bret's known for this classic good guy storytelling where he's getting his ass kicked and he comes back and wins, and it's just so beautiful. This is a totally different feel for Bret at this time, and it's a transition, and it's just this hate that's just pouring out of him, and the hate that's pouring out of Steve Austin, and it's a great start to the show.
Yeah, and it's been about 5 years since I've rewatched this, and so when I watched it this week, and one, to take notes, but two is really to get back into that mindset when I first watched it, because I watched it live. It never made sense until now. And even 5 years ago, I was still wondering, why is Steve Austin working the head? Why is he constantly punching him? It makes more sense now.
Did you remember to put the audio clip of Bret?
I did not. I couldn't get it.
No, I couldn't get it on. I could just put it in front of the microphone.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. It didn't make much sense, but it really made sense watching it again. I watched it twice this week, once to take notes, and then once to kind of just watch the match without having to worry about writing stuff down, furiously. And, it was good because you were seeing an aggressiveness. Austin was doing what a heel does, which is attack and attack and attack and but the baby face in peril.
Well, the neat thing about this is Austin is pushing Bret, and now Bret is just like, I've had enough.
Yeah.
And it's like he's just overcome with the evil that Austin is bringing him, and it's changing Bret.
Yeah. So let's get into Act 2, because finally it spills from out of the ring into the ring, and that's when we start getting the technician fight that Bret Hart is known for. Bret really starts going after the leg. It's leg stomps.
This is classic Bret at this point.
Bret starts going after Austin's leg, especially the injured leg. That's the key to remembering is Austin had knee surgery a little bit before King of the Ring. He's had bad knees all his career. And so you start seeing Bret focus in on that injured knee, which to me plays a significant role, because Bret Hart's finishing move is a submission move, and it is the sharpshooter. And so you start seeing
there's that classic move he does with the around the ring post.
Yep.
That move, I don't know if he done it too much at this point.
I don't remember him using this move that much at all until after this match. I think it was at this match.
It was classic yet. I think it became classic after that.
Exactly, yeah. And, here's the thing. Bret Hart knows that in order for him to win in a submission match, he's got to put on the sharpshooter. In order to do that, he's got to weaken the legs and weaken the back. And that's exactly what Bret does. Bret starts becoming that cold technician that he always has been, even as a babyface. He was a technical wrestler. He's a shoot wrestler. There's no doubt about it. That man knows how to do a real wrestling move. He grew up listening to
his dad would put him in the moves as punishment.
Dad would put him in these.
Like he would talk about how he's in a submission move and sees a newspaper, wrestler goes too far, son's dead.
Yeah. And, it really starts working. And eventually Stone Cold turns. He stuns Bret. And then here's where we start getting foreshadowing. And it comes from Jerry Lawler, and he states, you can't submit if your opponent is knocked out. Major foreshadowing of what's going to happen. And I think if you start listening to commentary,
do you think that do you like that they did that foreshadowing, or they?
I do. Yeah, I'm big into foreshadow. I'll watch a movie that's got a big surprise, and then I'll rewatch it.
For the announcers, I don't like them knowing stuff. Watching it with us.
Well, it doesn't help that the three-man commentary is Jerry the King Lawler, JR, Jim Ross, and Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon was still a commentator at this time.
Yeah.
He really wasn't the CEO and president of WWF at that time. He was still Vince McMahon commentator. And
they were kind of unveiling it a bit when Bret pushed him down and all that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Stone Cold turns it, obviously, he turns it around. He starts going after. Eventually, Bret starts going back. That's the thing. Austin really went more physical. He started doing a lot more heel stuff, he's doing what it takes, in order to get a leg up on Bret. I guess, I guess his philosophy at this point is, I'm going to just knock him unconscious and then, work his head, work his neck, and then maybe I could put him in like a Boston Crab, or I could put him in this move or that move. Let's talk about the dichotomy between these. You have two very different styles of wrestling. You have the brawler, in Austin, in his finisher being the Stone Cold Stunner, and then of course you have Bret Hart, who's a technical wrestler. At this point in the match, Austin starts to turn things around a little bit. Where were you at with this match? Were you thinking possibly Stone Cold could pull this out?
I didn't. I could. In my opinion, I think Bret was going less technical in this match and more brawler.
Yeah.
He was leaning more to being more like Stone Cold than he was like Bret Hart. And Stone Cold actually had to develop some submission moves for this match. He had to become a little bit like Bret as well. So it was this happy meeting in between where they had to kind of work together to make this match so beautifully like the piece of art that it is.
Yeah. It's interesting you bring that up because Bret actually brings in a chair, puts it between, puts the chair, the sandwich it between Austin's legs, stomps on it.
So originally he was going to grab a WrestleMania chair.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he put it down because I guess it had some padding on it. He's like, okay.
Yeah, it's got cushioning on it. Yeah. He kicks Howard Finkel out of the way and gets the chair. He also brought the ring bell in. So you're starting to see a heel.
So we're not at the part where he smashes smashes him from the ropes yet, right?
No, not yet. So as we end Act 2 with probably the strangest and probably the most weird and awkward submission I've ever seen in my entire life. And that is Stone Cold Steve Austin doing kind of a armbar, wrenching on the neck. It's really odd. It's really weird.
And Bret's just playing it up like he's getting his ass kicked.
Oh yeah, there's one thing Bret Hart is there's a lot of things Bret Hart is great at. One of them is selling, and he sold this as it was the most painful thing he's ever been in, and yeah, I mean it was just weird. It was just odd, and then eventually Stone Cold goes into the Boston Crab. And
that's an easy move to do. So
yeah, exactly. And of course, then Austin goes ahead and goes for the sharpshooter. He goes for the sharpshooter, and before he can turn Bret Hart over for the sharpshooter, Hart rakes his eyes. He does a straight heel move and rakes the eyes. And people started booing. This is when the crowd started turning.
What's weird for that? Because he's already being an asshole. He's hitting them with chairs. Really, a rake in the eyes. This is what you're gonna boo him over? Like there's way worse stuff he's done already.
Chairs are fine. The ring bell is fine. You got raked the eyes. You've gone too far. You've gone too far. Damn it.
Too far.
God, Bret, you've gone too far. So that pretty much ends Act 2, and that's really the bulk of it. Act 3, this is our final act. We're getting ready to start to go home. The intensity starts picking up. Of course, it starts with Bret gives an Irish whip and slams Austin's head into the barricade
amongst those chairs.
Yeah, and Austin bleeds, and
he hits the guardrail, and then it cuts him open.
Yeah, it cuts him open. We've heard the stories from both Bret and Bret and Steve. At this time, WWE had a no bleed policy for their wrestling matches. Wrestlers were not allowed to blade. If you were going to bleed, it had to be the hard way. Bret told Steve ahead of the match, I want you to blade, get color, it'll look good, and it'll butt us both over. It'll butt you over.
Steve Austin is not comfortable with this because he's not a made man in the company yet.
Right.
And Bret is. So Bret says, don't worry, I'll take all the blame, I'll take all the heat. And Bret knows he's the warden at this point, so he knows he can get away with it.
And I mean, when he flew into that barricade and into those chairs, you felt it. And Stone Cold, he sold that. And when he turned around, and you saw it. I mean, you can see it here. Do we got a picture
of him hitting the ring bell?
No, we do, because that was later in the match. Okay,
that's coming up.
Yeah. So it was just bloody as hell. I don't know if he just underestimated the depth of the blade, but he was gushing blood. And when it would start to kind of ebb, Austin started working the head to get it to bleed more. And there's a point in the match when they're in the corner and you kind of, it's a hesitation for like a couple of seconds. You know that Bret is telling Austin, I'm going to go for the head. I'm going to cut it open. I'm going to open it up a little more and get more blood. You know that they're communicating. One thing that you can say horrible things about Bret Hart if you want. You're no friend of ours, that's for sure, because we love Bret Hart. But one thing you have to admit is that Hart is probably one of the most safe wrestlers in all of wrestling. He was the safest wrestler and always made sure that he never hurt his opponent and never took
him and Mr. Perfect, right?
Yeah, even Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect, who wrestled with a bad back, a bad neck, and a formerly dislocated shoulder, and Bret carried him the entire way for that WrestleMania, for that
Yeah,
SummerSlam.
Brett said he's the safest wrestler he ever worked with.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I've heard tons of wrestlers say the exact same thing, and Bret even has said in his books and in interviews, I don't want a guy not able to earn and not be able to work, and that's why I was always taught to be safe in the ring, because you do realize you're not just protecting yourself, but you have to protect your partner, and I think that's a lot of young wrestlers don't understand. You can do these high flying moves, but you're going to be able to take it. But you have to you have to hope that other guy knows how to take it too, unless you are a safe worker. And that's what Bret was. Bret was always a safe worker. So let's talk about, at this point, he's gushing blood. What are your thoughts on the blade? What's your thoughts on getting color in this match? What are your thoughts on it?
It makes the match. You need that blood. You need that color, and it lends to the start of the Attitude Era. I think the Attitude Era starts with this match.
Yeah,
and the blood, and I guess they realize that they need to go to the next level after this. And this intro or this submission that he does at the end, this is on Raw for years.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was in the opening package as well.
Yeah.
That's not in the right place. That's not in the right place either. All right, we'll get to it eventually. Austin kind of turns the tables a little bit. Austin goes for Bret goes for a sharpshooter. Austin rakes the eyes. Austin brings in a cable.
This match is 60-40 for Bret this whole time.
Yeah. He brings in a television cable connected to a camera, wraps it around Bret's neck. Bret takes the ring bell and hits Stone Cold in the head with it, eventually knocking him almost unconscious at that point.
And he opens up the wound a bit more.
What's that?
He opens up the cut a bit more.
Oh yeah, he opens them up a lot more. Eventually, the ring is literally covered in blood. I mean, the ring mat, the mat itself is just covered in crimson, and it's just covered in blood. Nowhere as gross as.
Okay, so what I was saying earlier is that the match was probably maybe even 65-35 for Bret.
Yeah.
He's dominating. He's making Austin who he was.
Yeah.
Coming from behind and just being that I'll take an ass kicking, like you say, no one could take an ass kicking like Bret Hart. Well, he's putting that on Steve Austin in this. He's making him that guy. I won't give up.
Yeah. Bret works the knee again. He hits him in the head a couple of times, and it finally locks in the sharpshooter.
How long was he in this for? It seemed like forever.
It was a good 2 to 3 minutes. I mean, it was.
I think this is the longest anyone's been in a sharpshooter.
Yeah, I mean, Austin had to sell that he was not going to give up. They talked about. We talked about. We talked about the foreshadowing. Lawler even mentioned again in Act 2, no matter how bad Bret twists Austin's leg, Austin won't give up. Again, they're laying down that foundation of that. There's no way that Bret's going to give up. And I mean, you see this crimson mask, and it probably helps that Austin is straining, like he's like, because that makes the blood start just coming out again. And Austin, the face on him is just, it hurts. I mean, you literally feel that pain. What are your thoughts? Where were you with this at this point in the match?
Well, I'm still a Bret Hart fan, so I'm loving it. I'm like, yeah, kick his ass. Like, I'm not seeing it from what they want me to see because I'm just a Bret mark.
Yeah, exactly. And
like,
I mean, it was just watching
So
Austin.
you weren't seeing it from there what they wanted you to see either, right? Were you cheering for Bret in this?
Yeah, I was cheering for Bret at this point.
Like you were going like Bret's an asshole now. Like
I was one who was like, you're an asshole for calling Bret an asshole.
Yeah, like Bret can do no wrong pretty much in our eyes.
But I was
we weren't buying the company push down our throat at that.
No, we weren't. No. And I mean, and don't get me wrong, I started liking Austin with the 316 promo. You know, I remember him in WCW. I remember him as the Hollywood Blondes. So, I mean, I have a history with Steve Austin. And I thought, man, they are killing him with this ringmaster gimmick. Yeah. And when he finally turned into Stone Cold, I'm like, I think we're finally seeing.
So do we have more pictures or we kind of?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have more pictures. Yeah. You know, here's him getting ready. And at this point.
Oh, I love that picture. Can you go back there?
This one?
Yeah, he's just out of it. He's just like, he's looking like he's gotten his ass kicked. He's barely even conscious. Oh, that's a great picture.
Yeah. And you have, you know, here you have.
And now he's right out on the mat.
Yeah, he's out on the mat. Ken Shamrock is asking him, do you give? Austin is completely knocked out. At this point, he's completely out. Ken Shamrock calls for the bell. He pushes Bret Hart off of him, rings the bell. Austin's music starts playing, and Bret's music plays. Bret goes to the corners. The fans are booing. They're literally booing, and of course, you have Jerry the King Lawler. You have JR and Vince McMahon, and all they talked about was not Bret Hart winning, how Stone Cold never gave up. And that was planting the seeds for this rivalry that would continue. And we'll talk about that in the aftermath. But they never talked about Bret Hart.
Because it also sets up Bret to be like, I won that match, and you're praising him. And that's a better heel of Bret.
Yeah, and they were booing Bret. I mean, you heard a lot more boos than you heard cheers. You know, and what happened after that match, after the bell rang, I think is what sealed the double turn. You know, what you had was, you know, Bret went after him again. You know, Austin can't defend himself. He's not fighting back. Shamrock gets in the middle, and then him and Shamrock kind of start to square off, and Bret leaves. It looks like we might have a throwdown between Ken Shamrock, who also is a good submission wrestler. He was a submission fighter in UFC. He's a good submission wrestler.
Yeah, because it sets up this cowardly move by Bret. Now that someone's standing tall against you, Bret walks away like a bit of a coward.
Yeah, and doesn't acknowledge anybody. He rolls out of the ring under the ropes and walks up the ramp. Walks up slowly and doesn't look at anybody.
I think he fingers someone along the way.
Yeah. Eventually Stone Cold wakes up. He Stone Cold stuns the ref.
Not Shamrock.
He doesn't. No, not Shamrock. There was another ref that came in to make sure he was all right. And he stumbles and he's limping, and that's what sells the double turn for Austin.
Yeah, because he carries himself on his own weight. I'm a man. Yeah. I don't need anybody. I can do this.
Yeah, anybody that came near him, he pushed them away. You know, here's Bret walking off, and then of course you had Stone Cold limping his way back to the back, and you had the greatest double turn that's ever been done in wrestling history. So let's talk aftermath. You know, the match is done. The match is over. The main event sucked. If you want to save yourself time on the Peacock channel, Undertaker versus Psycho Sid was not very good at all. And nothing against Taker or Sid.
Bret Hart's match.
Yeah.
Is the main feature.
Yeah. So, I mean, while there have been other double turns in wrestling, one that comes to mind for me is Ted DiBiase versus Dick Murdoch. Murdoch was the heel, DiBiase was the face. They did the double turn in NWA. It was a great double turn. If you ever get a chance, watch it on YouTube.
But I think this one goes down as the greatest of all time.
Goes down as the greatest. And they've done it, and WWE's done it again. Dolph Ziggler and Alberto Del Rio is one that comes to mind. There's quite a few. Jericho.
Well, yeah, they don't hold a candle to this.
They didn't, because the problem is they don't tell the story.
Yeah, the build up
is a rush double turn.
Yeah, you gotta tell the story.
It's like throwing spaghetti on the wall and hoping it sticks, and that's kind of what they were doing as well. Hart reformed the Hart Foundation. He brought in Brian Pillman, the Bulldog, Neidhart, and Owen. Hart and Austin met again at In Your House, Taker's Revenge. Austin going over by DQ. The feud officially ended. The program between Hart and Austin officially ended on In Your House Canadian Stampede, where the Hart Foundation went over the American team of Austin, Shamrock, Goldust, and Hawk and Hannibal.
But didn't Owen get the pin?
Owen got the pin, yeah. Bret went on to be one of the top heels with his anti-American stance, and Austin became the it guy and essentially the face of the Attitude Era.
And there you have it. Clip now from Bret and.
Yeah, let's play the clip really quick.
Can you hear that?
Nope.
Hold on.
That whole period, how we sort of switch places, and sort of, I always tell people, you want to understand great working and great psychology and great wrestlers appreciating the circumstances, that what's happening in the business around them, and how to sort of. I think it's a really that was such a great time. I mean, I know we've talked a lot of times about that match, but I really think there was some great art being made that's never been. They'll never duplicate that art, the artistry that came from that time period. It was really, it's amazing, because I know that in Survivor Series when we fought, you and I, we tried so hard to make that the greatest match of all time. Like, we really gave our all for that. So when it was over, it was like that. We did everything. We did everything we could think of, every move, every bang, I thought we took it to the edge. And then all of a sudden, the way I remember when we got worked at WrestleMania 13, it was kind of last minute. Kind of like, okay, well, we'll just slap Bret Hart and Steve Austin together again. They got kind of a building thing going, and it's like, yeah, but we just worked a month ago kind of thing. It's like, well, you're going to work again. And it's like, well, we're going to make it a no-holds-barred match. And, I remember at the time thinking no-holds-barred, that takes out pinfalls. So that makes it even more boring and more harder. We're not going to have the same, and I remember thinking of the match I had with Bob Backlund. I Quit match, which I thought was my only really disaster match I ever had. Anyway, so I don't think anyone ever realized. I know I did that. That would be such a great match. I think going into it, I thought it was going to be awful hard to come up and try to duplicate what we had already done before.
Well, when you're talking about that match and us going back together so soon. I just injured my knee. I was in San Antonio. I was off. It was about 2 or 3 weeks before WrestleMania 13, and I was at home watching Monday Night Raw when Vince made the announcement that in a submission match in the semi-main would be Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret the Hitman Hart. I was watching TV. I am in the match. I just found out about it. The submission match totally pissed me off because, I didn't have a whole arsenal of offensive moves anyway, and I damn sure didn't have any submission moves, maybe one. So I was petrified and mortified and pissed off. Of course, I hadn't been in the company really long enough for them to consult me or ask if it was okay if they booked me in a match, but I was hotter than some bitch.
I like Stone Cold stuff. You just talk about Bret, and he's just getting all analytical. You get the redneck Stone Cold talking about. I just love it.
Like I said, this is probably my number one match. My number two being, of course, the Macho Man and Ricky Steamboat match in WrestleMania 3. Which I think when we do our next anatomy of a match, that's the match that we should hit, is that match.
I'm thinking, when we do that down the road, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, because, I mean, the art of wrestling is the storytelling. The storytelling before the match, the storytelling during the match while you're wrestling, storyline after it, concluding it. This told a great story. And now knowing that this was kind of a rushed, kind of let's throw these two together and hope for the best. Oh, there's going to be a submission match at the same time. The story they told was beautiful. It was a gorgeous piece of art. And that's the key to the art of wrestling, is to really be able to paint that picture that the fans can see and remember seeing it for years to come.
Now, I think we're going a bit over here, so let's kind of wrap it up. I think we got everything. Let's get in the effingwrestling.com. And
so if you ever wanted to know where you could find us on the internets, the dark corners and nooks and crannies of the interwebs, the nooks and crannies, you can find us, of course, at effingwrestling.com. That's our website. You can go there, click all the links on the bottom, and you can find us. If we are on social media, that's the link you're going to find. You can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/effingwrestling. You can subscribe. Do that. Subscribe to us and watch us, and you can interact with us. Like I said, we do T-shirts. We're a podcast company that does T-shirts and prediction leaks. Excuse me. You can find us at prowrestlingtees.com/effingwrestling. If you are an old school wrestling fan, you can also contribute your hard-earned money to prowrestlingtees.com/Adrian Adonis and put an Adrian Adonis shirt on your back.
And we're going to try and get out at least one Adrian Adonis shirt a month. We're going to try and get some more interactive stuff going on.
Yeah, we want as many people to be able to, I'll share a quick story. I was at a supermarket, the grocery store. Somebody came up to me and was like, "Where'd you get that shirt from?" I said, "We got it at prowrestlingtees.com/Adrian Adonis." He's like, "I loved Adrian Adonis. I watched him in AWA and NWA before he went to the flower shop gimmick. I loved him, and he didn't know that we have a Twitter as well for Adrian Adonis." And I gave him that, and I'm hoping he follows the Twitter, and he bought a T-shirt. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty awesome when you get to meet other wrestling fans and share your plethora of knowledge with them. So next week, who knows? We talk about it on Wednesday, so you can enjoy it on Sunday. WrestleMania season, we might maybe do something WrestleMania centric, or we might just do a complete swerve and talk about our favorite cattle, top 10 cows of all time. So, because that's the kind of crazy haphazard lunacy that we do here.
We're crazy. Everything about us must go.
We're crazy. All right. So, effingwrestling.com. Join us there. And, it was funny. We talked about Hulk Hogan. Did you talk to Hulk about the Jinder Mahal comment?
Yeah, I was a little confused. He got really argumentative, saying that he was right. He should have been Jinder Mahal's manager.
Yeah,
and he wanted to have Jinder Mahal wear the yellow and grow the Hulk Hogan beard for the NWO. It's like it doesn't make sense, Hogan, and he pretty much hung up on me. So that's effing wrestling 329. Hulk Hogan 0, Canada Dry, out.
This has been an effing worldwide media production. You can find us on Twitter at All Effing Wrestling or at Effing Podcast. You can also find us on Facebook at Facebook.com/Effing Wrestling. After that, why don't you go ahead and throw a T on your back? You can find us on the Pro Wrestling Tee store at prowrestlingtees.com/Effing Wrestling. You can find all of this at our new website, effingwrestling.com. And as always,